And Mr. Speaker and members, I don't intend to be before you long, but I think it's important as one who has been here for a minute and witnessed a number of redistricting battles. I came to the podium because I've run out of time for the questioners to respond. Couple of things. This is a body of fiscal conservatives, or so we say. How is it fiscally conservative to put this issue on the front burner now when we have candidates who have filed, who have spent money? And don't worry about the Democratic candidates, because I know you're not concerned about them. I don't see Congressman Smith. Yes, I do see Congressman Smith back there. What about one of our own colleagues who has spent, I'm sure, 6 figures trying to win this seat? It makes no sense to me that, and I have to disagree with Mr. Bamberg's point about courage and how courage is contagious. I'm paraphrasing. Quite frankly, I have not observed in this body that contagious spirit of courage. What I have observed is go along to get along. Now, help me understand how it makes sense for us here at almost the 11th hour and the 59th minute to be bringing a question back before the voters, asking them about redrawing. Well, I strike that. We aren't even bringing a question to the voters. For those of you who pose the argument that Democrats did the same thing, let me point out to you the two facts. Democrats reacted to what Republicans were doing in Texas, starting in Texas, and spreading. Now, the difference in what the Democrats did in California and in Virginia is put the maps before the people. To talk about transparency and accountability on one hand and come in with something like this, on the other hand, is quite disingenuous. Now, I appreciate the majority leader explaining that this is not about drawing maps, that this is simply about a sine die resolution. And I agree with him. That's why the House version of the sine die resolution that came through my subcommittee is across the hall. So if the issue is about a clean sine die resolution, we already have that. This body voted for that. It's across the hall. What we have is an effort, in my view, to bring the national chaos down to South Carolina. And let me be fair and say, especially in a body like this, where we have so many spinally challenged members, when you look at what happened in Michigan last night, when you look at the fact that there were 6 courageous members of the Senate, 9 courageous members of the House who said it makes no sense for us to put voters in this position, we are going to comply with the law that says redistricting happens every 10 years. Now, let me be clear. As has been pointed out, for some of us, we say, you go guys, you go girls, go and redraw the maps. Because I believe very strongly that the unintended consequences of your action, chickens are going to come home to roost, and you're going to wind up with a different set of numbers than you think you will have. As somebody who, again, was here before, I don't understand on either side of the aisle. While there is concern about this map, the current congressman signed off, the current 6th Congressional District congressman signed off on the map that we have. It is important for me to be factual and not emotional. And I've shared with my colleagues, you really need to be careful when you are throwing rocks, because Democratic hands, in my view, are just as dirty when it comes to redistricting as Republican hands. There was a tremendous amount of collusion in this last redistricting. I know it, and some of you know it, whether you admit it or not. It is amazing to me that one person, the image and the perception of one person as something that the facts show is not real, how much that one person commands people to take action that simply is not in the best interest of this country. I wonder if some of you recognize, I'm a history major, I'm a historian, I believe in history repeating itself. I also believe that it's important to learn from history. And I sometimes sit here and listen to some of you and wonder if you recognize, Mr. Gambrell, that historians are going to look back on this period and say, oh my God. Those of you who have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, you may not be here when they read about you. You may not be here when your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren say, Mama, what were you thinking when you went along with that scheme? Grandpa, what were you thinking when you went along with that? I'm just saying to you, it makes zero sense for us to take orders from a person who is, in my view, nobody we should be taking orders from. I am reminded of the conversation that always seems to come around about DEI. I'm here to tell you, when I look at this administration and the people in this cabinet, I dare any of you to tell me that they were hired, brought on board, appointed, whatever the appropriate language is. I dare you to tell me that they are qualified for the position. And before any of you jump up to raise whatever point about me not sticking to the amendment, let me suggest to you, connect the dots for you, that my point is, if you've got somebody at the top who's not qualified, and everybody around that person at the top is not qualified, then how in the world do you bring yourself to suggest that we need to be taking orders from a bunch of incompetent people? You are quick to point out for people of color, oh, you got there because of your skin color. Do you know how offensive it is for some of us to listen to some of you repeat and share jokes and memes about Justice of the Supreme Court Ketanji Brown Jackson to suggest that she is a DEI hire? I'll be honest with you, I look around this room and I'm like, we got a lot of hires, shall we say, that it begs the question. Mr. Speaker and members, I'm simply here saying, for those of you who claim to be fiscal conservatives, let me assure you that there is a fiscal impact to this. Let me assure you that there are going to be court challenges to this.
Ms. Cobb-Hunter, your first 10 minutes on the amendments up.
I'll take a second 10.
You're recognized for your second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me assure you that history repeats itself. Just as there were lawsuits filed in at least the last 3 redistricting efforts, the same will happen here. But go ahead, take your marching orders, decide that you are more interested in staying in here and holding on to these positions than you are in doing what's right for the people of this state. I agree with Mr. Bamberg. I wish we could move with this kind of haste to fix some real problems in this state. I wish y'all would have him call you and tell you what he's going to do about the $5.04 a gallon I paid $75 to fill my tank up to come up here on Tuesday. Did y'all ask him about that? Did you ask him about affordability and how much people are paying for groceries? Are we going to have a special session to talk about that? We should, because what we are about to do, in my view, makes 0 sense. And this business about law and order, y'all don't even need to think about coming up to this podium, Mr. Kirby, talking about law and order. There is no law. There is no order here or there. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to yield to questions.
Mr. Williams is recognized for the first question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Cobb-Hunter, how many redistricting you went through since you've been here?
Thank you, Boo. You know, Mr. Williams, I came in on redistricting. Let me tell you how it works. When you're not hearing at the table, they just do things to you. I came in on a seat that unfortunately was a part of Operation Lost Trust. When the former member had it, it was District 94. Well, I came in and and they had redistricted. It became District 66 for those in York County, just a little institutional knowledge for you. And guess what, Mr. Williams? Yeah. I, being a freshman and naive, I thought I still represented District 94. And so I got the little, whatever, they weren't doing it like they're doing it now. And I looked at and I was seeing things like NRE and all. I'm like, I don't remember that being in Orangeburg County. So I have to think, we filed suit then. We filed suit the second time in 2000. I think if I'm not mistaken, I stand to be corrected, this may be the 4th one, this last one may have been the 4th one that I've been through.
And did you, within those 10 years, what made this so different? Because traditionally,
I think what has made a difference is they got a call from up above, and it made them move. And I'm not talking about up above with the man on the higher power preacher. I see you. I'm not talking about that person up above. I'm talking about what is it, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that because
I didn't mean the higher power. God, don't confuse him with that person up above.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that because some folks in here could have thought you mean the man up above.
Well, let me just say this, something my grandma always said, 'cause you say it, don't make it so.
Yes, sir. Yes,
and what I mean by that is the man upstairs, not 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but I believe very firmly that the person, the higher power I serve, who is up above, I believe that he or she, depending on your belief, is going to have a field day with some of this crowd in here and some of this crowd in the country, because they're going to go knocking on the pearly gates. Peter, let me in. And you know what Peter's going to say to him, Mr. Williams? Who you? Who you? I'm being colloquial. Oh, I'm the Christian. Where were you? I know God might help you, Jesus, but Jesus ain't going to know you. He ain't going to know y'all. Let me stop, Mr. Williams. Let you get your question in.
But also, just finally, Mr. Cobb-Hunter, would you be amenable to the fact that citizens of the state draw the maps?
Mr. Williams, I have for the last God knows how many sessions introduced 2 pieces of legislation calling for independent redistricting commissions because I think it has worked in other states and I believe it would work here. I believe that the people ought to choose the politician, not have the politician choose the people. What we have here, and in so many other states around the country, are politicians picking people as opposed to people picking politicians.
And last and finally, you know, because I heard that without this, we cannot have a sine die. So
I don't agree with that. We've already sent a clean sine die resolution over to the Senate. The Senate sent a clean one over here. What we're doing here is following the marching orders that have been sent down, and we're adding the notion of redistricting to a clean sine die resolution.
Well, I certainly thank you for sharing your historical knowledge with all of us. Thank you.
And again, from a fiscal impact standpoint, y'all need to understand what we're talking about. If this passes, then for those of you who believe, well, we're just going to do this and that will satisfy him, y'all don't understand your leader. He is not going to be satisfied with just a simple passage of this. What's my point? My point is there's going to be a special session. Do y'all understand that when we're in a special session, the rate of compensation is not the same as when we come in here for our general session? So when you talk about dollars, you need to understand that you are about to put a price tag, put a bill on your constituents so that you can draw maps that will please, I guess, whoever you're trying to please. You're certainly not trying to, in my view, you certainly are not trying to please the people of this state. Because if you were trying to please the people of this state, in my view, what you'd be doing, or what you would have said, sir, thank you for the call, but you know what? My constituents want to know when they can stop paying $5 for gas. My truckers want to know when they can unpark their trucks because the cost of diesel has gotten to be so significant that they can't even drive their trucks. My constituents, this is an agricultural state. Agriculture is our #1 product. My constituents want to know when they are going to be able to afford to put diesel in those tractors so they can go out there and plow those fields, harvest whatever crop they may have. And fertilizer. That's what constituents want to know.
Mr. Kirby's recognized for the next question. Mr. Kirby does not have a question. Mr. King is recognized for the next question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'll ask real fast. Ms. Cobb-Hunter, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when the Supreme Court decision came down in reference to the quarter of shame?
Yes, sir.
Have we done anything with that?
Well, you're asking me, so I'll share my opinion. The answer would be no. When I was first elected in January of 1992, there was a pending lawsuit against the state of South Carolina, at that time, 84 school districts, who said, guess what, state of South Carolina, y'all are wrong. You're not funding rural school districts like you should. And that's when former Chief Justice Finney issued his ruling that required minimally adequate education. People got all upset with him because of the use of the word minimal, but guess what? That was the only way he could get it passed. And so I have been here since then, and Mr. King, I would say to you, in my view, and in the view of the rural school districts that I talk to, we have not adequately addressed the issues that were raised in the original Abbeville lawsuit. Now, we say we have, but that is why I take such exception about us taking public dollars and expanding an unaccountable private voucher system.
Ms. Cobb-Hunter, I hate to inform you, your second 10-minute on the amendment's up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.